What's going on, guys? So today I'm going to be installing the Z1 camber arms, among some other things that I'm going to be doing, but it's the main focus of today's video. So I already did the driver's side. I'm going to show y'all how I did that. I'm going to show y'all on the passenger side. It's a pretty simple install. It's 2 bolts, and then just adjusting the length of the camber arm. But if you don't have a lot of experience working on suspension on cars, there's some little tips that I can show y'all to make this easier, or just be able to fit the piece onto the car. So I'll go over the tools you need, and then I'll go ahead and show y'all how I installed it. All right, so this is gonna be the tools you're gonna need. You don't necessarily need an impact gun, but it will make your life a whole lot easier. It's basically impossible to get enough leverage to break the bolts free from an angle like this where you're kind of under the car. So you definitely want to pick up one of these if you plan on doing a lot of work to your car. But you're definitely going to need a 17mm wrench. I recommend getting these that have the ratchet on one end, just to make your life easier. You don't have to reposition every couple of turns. Then you need a 19mm wrench. This is optional, but I mean, everyone has a screwdriver and it's going to help you a lot, so I recommend having a screwdriver on hand. You'll see the purpose of that later in the video. And then you're going to need a 17mm socket for your impact wrench, or if you don't have one, you can always use a regular wrench. So yeah, these are the tools you're going to need. So if you're looking down here, it's going to be the arm connected directly to the bottom of the knuckle, which just runs over here. So this is the arm that you will be replacing. I start off with the bolt holding onto the knuckle, and this is going to be the 17mm with the impact gun on one end, and then you're holding the nut on the other side with the 17mm wrench. All right, so what we're gonna want to do is attach the 17mm socket on one end, work it in there, and then I just grab hold of the nut on the other side with the wrench, and then you're just gonna want to obviously loosen it. All right, so once it's broken free, you're gonna face a little problem where there's a lot of tension on this bolt from the knuckle, because it does support the knuckle. So what you have to do is take your jack stand and pin it against the knuckle and jack up the knuckle a little bit until the tension is released, and you can slide the bolt out. So we're gonna go ahead and do that right now. So once you get the nut out, you might face a problem where you can't get this one out just by turning it. So simplest thing to do is just start, kind of hammering it a little bit. There you go. Finally got it out. Put the nut and the bolt together so you don't lose them. And you can go ahead and drop the jack. All right, so for this next bolt, we're looking at this one in the back. So the back side over here, this back side is going to be a 19mm, and then the front right here is going to be a 17mm nut. So with this back one, the 17 and the 19mm, I was able to break it loose by hand on the other side. I can't promise that will be the same story for you, but I'm gonna give it a shot on this one. So with these, 19mm holds on to that end, 17mm on this end, and then you crank them in opposite directions. I almost forgot which way I'm supposed to turn it. Oh, I'm turning it the wrong way. There you go. So I guess for this one, on my car at least, it was possible to undo it by hand. And then we just crank it out. All right, guys, so for a better view, the nut's been taken out. Take this locking washer out. Close your mouth and wear eye protection because it got dust all over my face. So once you do that, you just gotta push this one out. Push the bolt out. The problem is, oh fuck. So when you pull this one out, then it's bolt out, it might bump into the sway bar, especially if you have upgraded sway bars because they're thicker. So it's possible to wiggle it out with the sway bar, and you don't have to undo the sway bar mount. But just be aware that it is going to take a little bit of finessing to get the bolt out. But we're going to get to it right now. So as you can see, the camber arm is freely moving. So you can go ahead and move it around, try to angle it to get that bolt out. I'll just wiggle it around until you can pull it out. All right, so after about 30 seconds of struggling with it, honestly not too bad, we got it out. So there you go. All right, y'all, so once you got the arm out of the car, you can put it next to your brand new Z1 camber arm or whatever camber arm you bought. And yeah, you're basically want to approximate them to the same length. The reason I say approximate is because, I mean, you're going to take them in to get an alignment right after this, but approximate it to be about the same, just so your alignment's not too far off and the arm can go back in with ease. So the way you go about doing that is you loosen up these two nuts and then you spin the center. So you're going to want to make sure that both ends stay flat, and you're just going to rotate the center. I'll show you that right now. All right, so if the nuts come super tight on there, get a pair of vice grips or get whatever wrench size you need for this. It's pretty big. I don't know, it's bigger than 19 millimeters. I didn't have anything that was the right size. So vice grips on the nut, screwdriver through the holes, and then just crank it in opposite directions, and you should be able to break it free. So once you got them to approximately the same length, just tighten down the nut on either end without rotating the heads. All right, so you got it locked in. I would say keep a little bit of don't over tighten it, just hand tighten it so you can break it loose a little bit, because you are going to have to do some adjusting once you try to put it back on the car. So let's go ahead and get to that right now. All right, guys, so all we're doing now is essentially what we just did in reverse. All right, but make sure that this grease service point is facing downwards when you install the arm, so it can be serviceable. I like to go ahead and start with the back. So let's do that right now. Yes, you are gonna have to wiggle the bolt back in just like you had to wiggle it out. Just mess around with it, and eventually it'll go in. So yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and get to it. So I've been, for whatever reason, on the other side I was able to get the bolt through and around the sway bar and through both sides of the camber arm. I can't get it to do that right now on the passenger side, so I'm gonna have to drop the sway bar. And these are just kind of things you run into when you're working on a car, so just be ready for that. For some reason the other side was fine, this side's giving me trouble, so it shouldn't be too hard. It's two, if I remember correctly from when I installed the sway bar, it's just 2 bolts and then you gotta detach it from the end links. So I'm gonna do that right now, and I'll show you guys that too, just in case you run into the same issue. You can do it as well. All right, so once you disconnect the end link, in order to go ahead and slide it out, you're gonna want to jack up the sway bar just slightly, because there's a lot of tension on this bolt. So go ahead and slide it out, and then you should have enough space to take out the or to insert the bolt for the camber arm. All right, so as you can see, I have a little bit of play in the sway bar. So with that, hopefully I will be able to put the bolt through. All right, bolt successfully through, sway bar bolted back up. So now let's just reattach it to the knuckle. So like before, use the jack to raise the knuckle to position the holes, to align the holes so that you can push the bolt all the way through. Like I said, we're basically just repeating what we did, but backwards. All right, so it's nighttime now. I guess I forgot to close out the video. So thank you guys for watching. Hopefully the video was helpful for whoever's installing these camber arms. If you bought them off Z1, it should come with a paper that has a QR code that has all the steps also written down. But for me personally, I'm a visual learner. Like, I have to see it get done. So that's why I made the video. And I watched the video to help me make this video. So yeah, anyways, I do need to get around still to dropping the rear shocks to see why they're a little bit soft and bouncy, and then as well as doing the rear brake, the rotors and the pads. But other than that, successful camber arm install. Took kind of way longer than I wanted it to, but yeah, so I'll be getting on to doing the spacers, like I said, the struts, and honestly I don't even know about the brakes, but I'll probably try to get to them as well. All right guys, thanks.